trip over the stool. Hi, welcome to Minnesota Music Mom. I'm Karen Davis. I have my cousin Lorraine Roush here with me, and her mom and my mom were sisters. And so I had mentioned to you that we are going to start some interviews, and Lorraine is my guinea pig. I'm starting with my cousin to do these interviews. So Lorraine's going to play, we're actually going to do two separate interviews. One's going to be with her on the organ, and then I'll do a separate video with her playing a piece on the piano. So today we'll have her do a piece on the organ, and then we'll ask her some questions afterwards so we can find out a little bit more about her, when she started playing and that sort of thing. So Lorraine, why don't you let us know what you're going to be playing today?
I am playing Our Refuge and Strength, which is based on Psalm 46.
And which book is that out of?
It is out of The Organist, volume July of 1990.
Okay. All righty. So whenever you're ready, just go ahead. Wonderful. That was great. I love it. Oh, I remember Mom playing that song also.
I like that one. It's one of my favorites.
That is a good one.
It's kind of a fallback one. When you don't have a lot of practice, you come back to the ones you know.
Exactly. And that is 2 pages long. It has a repeat. And what's the signature on that? It's no
It's a key of C, yep.
Yep.
With a lot of accidentals.
A lot of accidentals.
Yes.
Yeah. Why don't we show a page of that? Why don't you hand me one? I'll just show one page of that. Here's the first page, just to give you an idea. All right. Okay, and then why don't you tell us a little bit about your organ? We are in Lorraine's home. I should tell you where we are. We're in Lorraine's home. So she has an organ here at home. And
it's a Johannus, which is made in Germany. It's a Studio 170, so it's got the full pedal board, and it's got the 2 registers. It's got a bunch of buttons that can change some of the sounds. I don't spend a lot of time doing that. I got it on Craigslist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Some woman apparently had it, and she passed, and so a organ teacher, piano teacher sold it for the family. Mm-hmm. So
that's a nice organ. And when we're done with the interview, I'll go ahead and show you you might have to remind me, I want to show them the stops and so forth, the organ a little closer. Now for the pedals, do you play, tell me a little bit about, because I know you didn't used to play the full pedal board.
Yeah, when I first started playing organ, I had a little Kimball thing that had all the little sound things on it, and it had just 8 pedals. And so when the music had the pedal go higher than what my pedals had, I would condense it down and play it the octave lower. Now I can obviously go up, but I kind of sometimes still do some condensing just because it's something I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's actually harder too.
It is hard sometimes.
I do it like for when I play chimes. at church,
Yeah.
the chimes only go so far.
So far.
And so if it's a low G, for instance, I've got to think to
Convert
switch it
it.
up to the high G, and it takes a little bit, because you're seeing the note, you know what it's supposed to be, but now you got to change
Now you
it.
got to move it. So one more thing to think about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when did you start playing music, and what instrument?
Piano was my first. I can't remember exactly when I started. I think I was in grade school somewhere, probably second, third, or fourth grade. And then I had a couple teachers to start with. And when I was in fifth grade, our organist at the church where I was going was teaching piano. So I switched to him. And that's kind of how the church thing came about. My lessons included a hymn along with my John Thompson and John Schumann books, and by the time I was 14, I was playing in church because I didn't have a choice.
He was kind of sneaky about that.
Yeah, he was very encouraging, very encouraging.
He was.
My mentor, I'll never be as good as him, but he was very nice.
And he really did some.
He went to Martin
tricky
Luther
things.
College, so he was very, very well versed on the organ.
He did the transposing.
He could
and
transpose
things.
without, I think, extra paper in front of him to do it.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was jealous. I was always jealous of Lorraine because she started piano lessons when she was in, like you said, like second, third, fourth grade. I didn't do piano lessons until in 2011, 2012, but I started organ lessons when I was in sixth grade. So I'd go to stay overnight at your house, because we'd stayed overnight at each other's houses. And here she could play piano, and I couldn't play anything, and I was so jealous that she could do that. But and then
So I took organ lessons with my piano teacher for about 6 months. I was 14, didn't have an organ, didn't have a driver's license, so we did it at the church because he didn't have an organ either. Mm-hmm. And so our lessons were twice a month, every other week.
Okay.
Just because of the problems of getting there, etc. And so I was allowed to go and practice, but it wasn't simple because I didn't have a driver's license. Mm-hmm. So I had to rely on my mom to get me there. But and it just kind of fell by the wayside after the 6 months. So I got the basics of how to do it, mm-hmm. but I'm not an accomplished, trained organist.
Well, now when you started playing in church, when he would, sneakily, you start playing in church, did you play pedal for the hymns? Did you play?
I did not play pedal for hymns when we started because I was not ready to.
Because you were playing
and that's really more
piano.
recent than I've been able to do that. Having an organ in my home has made that come along quicker, mm-hmm. Because it's just, you need practice to do that. And when you had to go to the church to practice, you just can't be there enough to get good at it. Mm-hmm. So, and part of it I think is just you get a little older and you get a little more brave, and you do have to finally just try, mm-hmm. and maybe you run through a few songs with people singing and you make mistakes, but if you keep going, eventually you get past your fear.
Yeah, because we do have, I think people think a lot of times that since we've been playing for a lot of years, that we don't get afraid and that we don't get nervous, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Yep. I mean, if we make a mistake while people are singing, we just have to keep going,
yep.
Yes. And sometimes we fumble and we make even more mistakes, but people are very forgiving, and they, we can't be perfect. Yep. And I think also some people think that, if you play on the organ that you have to play pedals because the pedals are there.
No.
You don't have to.
This organ actually has what they call manual bass. So if I turn the manual bass on and I play this note here, it adds the pedal in the same note. So whatever my lowest left-hand note is, if that's turned on, it will bring that pedal sound for me. So I do use that, and the church where I'm going does have that same thing. So if I really have a song I can't play the pedals on effectively, I will turn that on just to add the sound of the pedal.
That's nice. And that's nice. I've heard more and more organs have that.
I think so.
Yeah. And just, to let everybody know that if you can't play the pedals, no big deal. You don't have to play the pedals just because you're playing the organ.
Yep.
So now, for our family, as far as following in the footsteps, my mom was church organist, and Audrey, Lorraine's mom, was a pianist and organist too, but she didn't play in church.
She didn't play organ. She just played piano, mostly by ear. She would she was better on her right hand, and she would hear things and pick out the melody and then chord the left hand.
Yeah.
That's beyond me.
Oh, me too. And Mom used to do that too, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
Well, now
I've tried.
Grandma Borshide, that was Mom our grandmother, between the two of us, she played piano,
She had piano.
and so they probably learned chording. They probably didn't take lessons.
I think they had like a correspondence class, is what my mom said. Piano was correspondence through the mail,
Yeah.
I think.
And actually, Grandma Borscheid, we'd go over to her house. She had an old pump organ. And so then we had a lot of fun with that. When we were little, do you remember? We were little, and the pump organ, we couldn't reach the pedals. So
No.
we'd take turns.
Yes.
And one of us would sit on the bench and play, and the other one would be
be
underneath, pumping with our hands. And then we go, okay, my turn. So then we'd flip and we'd do that.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. And you said your mom had...
My mom had a pump organ from one of the churches in the town where we grew up for a while, and it was, the old pump organ, the bellows. And then it had these little pedals levers that you would pull out, and they would be between your knees. So you would spread your knees for volume while you were pumping your feet and playing your two keyboards. But it had a beautiful sound. It was a nice organ.
Oh my word, that just sounds so complicated now. All right, and when you were starting in church, when Arnie was starting you in church, did you get a lot of encouragement? One of the subscribers had asked, how easy was it to get started playing in church? Did you get encouragement from the congregation and so forth?
Yeah, I think they did. I don't know that I remember it so much, but my teacher, Arnie, he encouraged me all the time. So, got to do what God gives you the talent to do.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
All right, and do you have a favorite hymn? One of the subscribers wanted to know if you had a favorite hymn.
I like a lot of them. Mighty Fortress, Stand Up for Jesus, Amazing Grace, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Too many to name.
Too many, definitely.
Yep.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and show, let's see if I can grab the video here and see if we can show the organ a little closer. All right, let's see if I can flip this around. Okay, here we go. So, let's show the stops a little closer. So now, are there any of these stops that you don't really use a lot?
I don't use the contra trumpet much because it's very throaty sounding, more than you really need. It's hard to balance that with your keyboards. I think there's always been a struggle between the great and the swell to get your swell to be balanced with any organ. It's difficult for me.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just my ears. They don't work like they used to either. It does have volume over here and cathedral setting on the side. And then these are presets. This, I think, is choir. And then I have presets that are pianissimo, medium, loud, and tutti, which is pretty much everything. And then your reeds off. We take the reeds back off. And then these are 4 different settings. This is Romantic Church, Town Church. This is Symphonic Basilica, Baroque Palace Hall, and what is this one? Historic Hill Church.
Oh.
I don't know that I notice a lot between them, but then I don't really play with them much because when I have time to practice, I've really got time to practice, not to play.
Right. Right.
And then it does have a transposer thing. So
it does.
If I do, here's your chord. I don't know how I do it. Let's see. I gotta see how that changed it. And I'm playing the same 3 notes.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't really found a way to figure that out, and
Well, that's
but
nice.
it's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Let me if I get it back. I think that's where we were.
Okay. Yeah, and then where was that? You showed something over here. The set. Oh, was it the set button or something?
Over here, we've got
over here.
cathedral.
Yeah.
I can play with headphones, and I do that sometimes, middle of the night when I can't sleep. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is a nice organ.
Yes.
And then the pedals are different.
They're not black on the. Yeah, that part was a little hard to get used to at first. I thought it was
they
odd,
kind
but
of meld together. It's kind of hard to see the difference between.
I have seen other organs like this, so I guess it's not totally unusual. But
And
yeah,
then
it is different.
And then you've got the one pedal for volume.
Only one for volume. Yep.
All right, and then what was I going to ask? Oh, playing pedals. I'll turn this around now. For playing pedals, like I am. And I know some people are very adamant that you need shoes. You need
And this
shoes to
helps
play.
me stay on my seat so that I don't slide off because I'm short, much shorter than Karen. And I thought I would probably needed shoes so that I could do the heel-toe thing, but what I really needed was to not feel like I was falling off the bench. So I put a little silicone hot pad underneath my rear end, and that helps.
That really is a good idea. You know what? Because it kind of feels that way sometimes at church, too.
Different clothes feel slipperier on the bench, and
Yeah.
especially if you're dressed up, those clothes are more slippery. And so this makes me feel like I'm not on the edge of the bench, ready to fall onto the pedals.
Yeah, that really is a good idea. All right. Well, thanks. Is there anything else that we talked about that I was going to ask you that I forgot?
Don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, again, this is Lorraine Roush, my cousin, and she has been playing in church and playing longer than
Gosh,
I
it's
have.
going on 50 years.
So thank you so much, Lorraine. I really appreciate you allowing me to come over here and interview. You're my first interviewee. And then we'll do another interview also, another video separately with piano, and have Lorraine play a piano tune. So thank you for stopping by. I truly appreciate all the viewers and subscribers. And by all means, go ahead and leave a comment. If there are some questions that you would like us to ask, you'd like me to ask in these interviews, please let me know, and I will try to include as many as I can in them. All right, well, we'll catch you later.